Hello, everybody, to another week with AI. Well, and productivity from a productive week, at least for the members in our membership. They might have seen a huge change since yesterday. And this is just the beginning. We rolled out a whole new learning experience. Well, we are no longer doing the typical podcast, right? So I can share the screen and share actually. So we dive right into this. But we also want to talk about Opus 4.7 and Claude Design Studio and all these things. We will dive into this for sure today too. And obviously also whoever is inside the live call. Let's see. Okay. I didn't start it yet. Great. Good that I checked. Yeah. Here it is. I'm sharing my screen in a second. Of course, it was the wrong one. Well, for some reason, it switched things up. Well, Paco, why don't we then just start with the topic, right? Opus 4.7 and Claude Design. In fact, that's something I will share later in this video, what Claude Design brought for us to the table. And again, people say it's overhyped and AI is just hype and we're using it every day. It's insane if you know how to use these things, what you can get out of it. But what was your experience with all the new releases? Did you notice anything as you're using AI just in apprentices for your personal knowledge management and not for coding and so on?
Yeah, at the moment, just subtleties. That's what I have to say. I was working during the weekend and well, I noticed some subtleties talking about how it reply. I think that little by little, it's getting much more close, I would say, okay, to your context. Okay, I think that it has a better understanding, but for me, it's too early to say anything at all. At least it didn't crash anything. I mean, I keep working without any problem. Okay, everything is where it should be, and we will see. We will see. I'm kind of excited with the design feature because I think that this was something that it was kind of missing, and we were betting on some other tools or AI LLMs. And now with this, I think that it opens a door that again, it keeps moving Claude towards becoming that amazing command center for any VC professional. I think that that's the end goal of these guys, and they are making huge steps. Every single week, we can see how more and more we depend on it, thinking about that you can easily manage your day. And I think that it's a perfect combination. The moment that you create your own setup, it's the perfect combination to start working naturally with AI, but I would say in your own terms. I think that this is something that it's important. Okay, and here Tom is sharing
and here
the new
we are.
Claude Design.
This is the new Claude Design. It's a separate application that works on the web, and but it is tied to your Claude plan. And obviously, I had to dive into this because I immediately saw the potential for our membership platform and learning platform that we created using Claude Code already, well, last year, June, and gradually migrated everything and really proud of this. And we will share in a moment how this looks like for those who don't know yet. But I want to share how I leverage now Claude Design because it was always a challenge to get UI UX right, just using Claude. And this is where, again, the Larry's team comes into play, where I'm using with our AI team that has the orchestrator. And in there we have, again, I love to share these images because they say more than 1,000 words. When we go to the AI team that I'm actually using on a daily basis. So Paco has his own setup, and this is the team that works inside my ICOR, and he's just reporting to me in this case. And I'm responsible for the platform here. And here we have a lot of agents. And there is, for example, where is she? Iris. She is responsible for the design of the app and the design, the branding, the brand colors and all this. And this is the agent that I trained to understand what this is all about. Then this combines with the front-end developer Felix, who is there too. Here, Felix, he's the front-end developer, 0 bugs, yeah, you wish. but this is the point about Opus 4.7. It is when you code with it, what a change, man, what a change. The past weeks, it was horrible. You lost the tokens. They ran empty very quickly, and it was crap produced by it. And now the change with Opus 5.7 is huge. No doubt about this, because I used it constantly. So this was the back and forth. So there were standard operating procedures. There are guidelines that I'm using to train on our brand design that we decided on. And we have now this new section where we present our, the articles and the videos and all this. So all this design, all the rounded corners and all these things, they need to be defined. And if you don't have this in place, then AI is doing already random things. But again, as I keep saying, it's all based on real life work. So whenever you worked in a team, you know these principles and you apply them. And if you allow now AI to get the context to access this, it helped already. But now, this is where I saw immediately the next level with this Claude Design. You can create a design system. So if you go to design systems, you can go create. And here is where you share what I just said. Your design, your brand definitions, your brand guidelines, your design language, all these things. But also you can provide your GitHub repo, in our case, the myICOR GitHub, so it knows the actual code. So it gets the perfect context to help you improve your existing thing. And obviously, you can build something from scratch, but I wanted to feed in what we already have and improve it. And a pain point was for the complexity of the courses that we are creating, with now handing out file downloads and all these things, the standard video course approach was just too restrictive. Also, if you imagine the ICOR journey courses, each lesson has about 30,000 words of lesson content to read, and it was just a wall of text. And we are all about simplifying, making it more accessible for our members. And that was my first approach to this new, as a use case for this, using this tool, was this workshop course and recreating the ICOR journey so people get a better overview of their state on their journey. And you just start talking what you expect. It loads in the context. An amazing thing is it creates the files for you that you can perfectly download and use. It creates different variations that you can pick from. All this is generated on the fly based on our branding. This is insane. Really, this is insane.
And also it's amazing the connection with Claude, okay? Because this is the ecosystem that we are predicting, since we saw how Claude was fully focused on the corporate world. And here you are using just your club subscription and everything will be connected, as you will show in a moment.
Yeah, exactly. So I went through these things, I reviewed, and obviously the beautiful thing is you can go to comment here and you can select any item and give it a comment to readjust what you mean about this. All this I have done previously using screenshots or something like this and describe it this way. It works really great. If you create something with Claude Code that is visually like an interface for your AI team and it doesn't look right, just make a screenshot, feed it into Claude Code and explain that this should get changed. It does a really good job. But here it has the HTML context and perfectly reorganizes everything accordingly. You can have these prototype mockups and so on. This is really, I was shocked when I saw the first outcome, so much that I rolled out the next iteration of my ICOR already overnight. because we are preparing myICOR 5.0 to be launched. And this is the huge step forward. And this is how it looks now in real time. And that's, I'm sharing all this. So you see, we use Claude Code and Claude in general on a daily basis in our own business. And all our members see, obviously, the changes in the platform happening too. So now if we go to my ICOR journey, here it is on the live platform. That's my own account logged in. And here's a representation of the quality of the lessons. So for those who don't know, our courses are set up in a way that for each concept and workflow, each lesson, you answer a set of questions which shows you the quality of implementation of this lesson. It just shows if you understood what this is going on. But what we always wanted, as this is such a journey, building a productivity system start to finish, from digital note-taking, PKM, task management, project management, all the way to automation and AI, we need to get an overview. And so the ultimate goal was always to point people to their pain points where they can then dive deeper. So that's where this idea of the horizontal progress through the whole courses, through the questions came up. And then when people see, oh, I'm really bad in this one, and I immediately see red, I can click there. It opens up the lesson. And now I can dive deeper into this specific context. And here on top, you see the growth assignments. These are the 4 questions that people answer. And then whenever I get better, I can, improve it. I can take notes on the individual question to reflect myself on my current state about this. Obviously, I can also reset things. These are minor things. And here, there's the video. We have magic slide with each lesson. We have a TLDR for each lesson. We have the cheat sheet for each lesson. And all the things were previously just in a vertical content. And most of the membership platforms out there are built this way, like Circle and Mighty. You always have this vertical progression through the lesson. This works with video and a bit of things to share. But if you have such a comprehensive different asset types as we have, this is not enough flexibility, and this is what Claude allowed us to do. And here's the full guide with the 30,000 words that I mentioned, and this is called full guide, but this is just one lesson of the whole course, right? So this is now broken down into different individual sections. So people can now progress through this step by step, instead of having the wall of text, not knowing where they left off. They leave the page, they come back, they don't know where they were reading. And this is where this is a huge step, because now you can really digest this step by step, just this one concept, and getting an overview. Here's our curriculum of the ICOR journey courses alone. And here are the different courses that you can quickly go through. And here's the different lesson types, lessons and concepts. Well, we have concepts and workflows that we differentiate. And you can instantly jump to the next lesson, and you will see there is the same structure. Again, the magic slide, the cheat sheet. It's always the same principle, but you can really now dive fully in without feeling getting lost. At least that's my feeling. We will see how the feedback from the members will be. Also, a complete new commenting system, a complete overhaul of the commenting system. I think it's much cleaner now to take comments and create these things. And this was all a result using Claude Design. So the commenting system, again, I can show you real world things I think might be interesting for you guys. So I can go here. There's where I iterated the new commenting system. It gives you the different, different ideas that you can click through, that you say, oh yeah, I like this one. Here are the different versions that it made up that you can pick from, notification system, moderation, and so on. And as you can see, it's all based on our full branding, how the app is branded. And I went a step further and made a complete review. That's also how you can use it. You hook up your system and then let it make a review. How well is it established based on common design choices and so on? And it identified a few things that we fixed. Good to know that it was actually already pretty good, but there's always room for improvement. And as we have such a so much content to share, it's really hard to simplify things, and we are on the journey to further keep simplifying. And another one is now having an AI courses page that is focusing on AI pages. And here we are, because at the same time, I also launched this course that everybody was waiting for. It is the course where you now have, and you probably have seen the new design, where you have now a step-by-step that you go through this to build this, because we call this workshop course, because that's really something where you build something along the way rather than consuming something. So you have here, again, cheat sheets that quickly explain to you what is in the lesson, the full guide, but also lesson resources. So here's the zip files that you can download. So when you now build Larry's team, each step shows you what you're creating. Here's the basic folder and what is coming and so on. And then you can always download here this current step and the status of this folder structure. So you can follow along, or you jump all the way into the end, and download the final version if you want and start using it. But obviously each step explains in detail why we created it the way it was created. And here's again the same thing, where you have the different steps to understand this. I think it's a huge step forward. There's always room for improvement. I see thousands of things that I might want to change, but compared to previously, where all this, imagine now, let's open this up, but it's not even reflecting what it was before, because there it was just this long list of content, and then all these individual sections were also below. So it was a long list of articles to read and so on. So really happy. And if anybody says, I watched some videos where I saw people are not convinced of Claude Design, and obviously there are other Gemini had Stitch before that. I never used it, because now it makes sense, and that's what Paco mentioned, and I want to close the loop here. Once you have this decided that you want to have this new design, you can go to share, and there are multiple options you can download and share this. You can even share it with Canva if you have a different type of design. You can export it as a zip and PDF, but what's really interesting is the handoff to Claude Code. And this is providing a command, and you can even write additional information. And then I just copy this command and paste it into Claude Code. Claude Code will use this link to access these design files here and the context of this. And now I'm using Claude Code in my actual repo, so in my code base, right? And now it has the full context of what is real and what is going on, and understands the direction I want to go. And now it better matches things together instead of downloading this and trying to link things up together. And this was amazing the moment I did this, how well this worked out of the box. This was shocking, man. Shocking.
And the thing is that with this type of tools, now we can bring visual context in something that is tangible. For us, something that we are visualizing, it's something that we can share with Claude, so that he's even much more context aware than before, okay? Because it's not just how do you like to think, all the things that's going on in your life, but also how you like the things, okay? I told Tom that this weekend I have a convention, our annual convention of one of my companies, and I need to make a presentation, and I will use it to create a slide deck, because imagine someone creating a slide deck based on all the things, because for that convention I have already shared many thoughts about how to structure the messages I want to communicate. It has all the history of what has happened during the last year. So imagine having all that information that it's already stored there, plus dealing with this, working on this tool so that I can tell Claude how I like to communicate the things. I can bring a sample. He can show me 4, 5, 6 drafts, whatever I want, and then little by little start, and then I can create that personal brand, okay, that shows how I want to communicate in my presentations, what are the type of colors, the font size, the messages, the type of images. I think that adds another layer of context to the AI. And that's why this becomes, well, something huge, in my opinion, something huge, because everything is under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
Everything is sharing absolutely everything. And the moment that you are combining, because from here, now you can manipulate, there's no need for API, MCP, sending things up and down, everything is here and perfectly combined, because that's the thing. We don't bend in one tool for everything, but we have always stated that the things that are really well connected. No, I think that it's
I
the
want to
exact
show
same
you
example
here.
with. Oh yeah,
That's
go
the
ahead.
example of the slide deck that you're just describing here. I haven't used it, so I thought let's try it live here. So you can actually create slide decks, and that's again something that I perfectly was able to do previously based on the understanding on how to create this and give the guardrails and SOPs and all this. But now this is a system that is just focusing on design and creating this, and this makes it so easy to use. And you saw this you can even create a sketch and draw something out and give it explanations. Remember, Paco, we just shared it in the last Inner Circle coaching call, our Miro boards where you laid out, drafted out the magic slides for the designer to create and all this. And now you do exactly the same here. Again, something you were able to do on a piece of paper and make a photo, and AI was able to create it. But now having everything integrated, this is really amazing. And the great thing that I really love about this is if you are vague like this, it always will ask you questions in a really nice way. What are your expectations? Decide for me. I go now for decide for me, but how many slides? It is focusing on slide creation. And this is really amazing. And then let's see what comes out of this. Include speaker. Well, that's just. And then we will see what comes out. And
I think that
is
it's
exactly
amazing.
how I did it. The pain points and so on. When I asked the first to create an update for the learning platform, right? I went through this set of questions, and this is so helpful for both sides to reflect myself if I actually thought about everything, but also to give AI the clarity what you need to focus on. Paco, you want to say something?
Yes. No, that I was going to share an example that shows that it's system thinking, that matters here, because I love how we are building the different layers here, because right now, Tom has just shared the new course that we have launched so that people can perfectly create all this implementation with the Larry team. They have the prompts, the files, everything. But we always use this type of implementation courses or any type of service that we deliver that is based on implementation to better explain the concepts behind. Okay, this is like a backbone from where you can start growing on your own, because I say this layer approach because if you hesitate, we have the AI like a pro that brings many more concepts related to how AI works, what is an LLM, whatever. And on top of everything, it's the productivity system end-to-end, okay? That is the ICOR journey with the 6 different courses, because that's the important thing. At the end, we want our people to become independent, to really understand the nuances and how they can perfectly work on their own without, having to perfectly set up a template that doesn't belong to them. Okay, we think that this
go ahead,
approach, this approach is the right one to really understand the concepts behind and start doing things by yourself. Okay, because now you got a starting point that everything is much clearer, so that you will see faster all the outcomes and the outcomes that you want to deliver.
Yeah, and something that, with all the new launches and what people join for, I get the point, but we have a lot more things in here that, people may forget, like the ICOR framework to lay out your actual tool stack and understand how this works in your system. If you have your system properly built up, that you then can dive deeper into the tool itself, and there are then dedicated discussions. And I'm showing this because now is the moment for myICOR 5.0 where everything comes together. Because you see already here, there's Heptabase mentioned, but there's also Tana mentioned. If I go to Tana, yeah, I'm in Tana, you see the same comment appearing. So this means even if I'm on a community level and I create a new message and I mention these tools, and later on this will be auto-generated by AI. That's something we're already testing, but currently you manually can pick tools already in your messages. This is where you have a knowledge graph. You know, that's the backlinking automatically happening, where it's actually useful for our people. And this is a feed again that we are never happy with, because it's overwhelming going through a feed and really find the discussions that we have. That's why, again, we are now iterating on the discussions. That gives you a much better overview on the discussions that you're interested in, than your own discussions, and many more things are coming here too. So
yeah, and this shows how important it is constantly iterating.
yeah.
Okay, here we are seeing and sharing myICOR 5.0, but this was launched, if I'm not wrong, in January. So we are talking about
Well, myICOR was
releases.
launched in June 2025. There was the
No, but I mean the new portal when we left
no.
Mighty and all this
Mighty we
story.
left
And
in,
it was
well, December. Yeah, we decided to
December.
leave, and the
Okay,
official launch was in January. Yeah, imagine.
correct. So
4 months
we are
later
talking
we have.
about 5 different iterations, and also when we
Well, I mean, we have
say
also
5.0, 4.0, and all this type of thing is because the changes are significant, you know.
Yeah.
And this iteration is what allows us to manage an insane amount of information, because that's what happens. Okay,
Correct.
and that's why some other portals like Circle or any other that we have tried, Mighty, all of them, weren't able to do this type of connections, because the moment that you put volume into the equation is the moment that systems cracks if they are not well prepared. Okay, and here we constantly share how we evolve this, because this perfectly shows absolutely everything. Okay, the input, the control, the output, and the refined stages of the ICOR methodology, but with a real example. And I think that that brings a lot of clarity to really understand what we mean by iterate. Okay, that is constantly iterating on a daily basis. No matter that, obviously, when we have something significant is when we launch it publicly.
Correct. And while we are always, we are not trying to copy. We used all the tools before, and we had a vision behind what a real learning platform should look like. And that's why we always innovate. We try also always to innovate, and that's something AI cannot do. But you can use AI really as the tool to enable you to create innovation. And I haven't seen this kind of, that's our weekly coaching sessions. 1.5 hour officially. Usually we go a bit over if there are more questions. And this is the outcome right after the recording. AI goes in, gets the recording, uploads it to our database, creates the summary. Out of the summary, we have clickable timestamps where people can directly jump into the section of the video. Here we have the challenges, questions, answers that are all timestamped. So we have a question, clicking here, boom, you are directly there. A discussion section, obviously. And this is something that I really like, because I never watched any coaching recordings previously. And again, this is also just the beginning, because this page will also get a complete overhaul where we will integrate this even more. So for those of you already using the application or in there, I'm on the local version. It's currently edited. So this will get an overhaul event recordings, because Jax is already in there. Again, one of our AI team members that I showed you previously too. So he is down here. Here's Jax. And those who are in the community know, he directly responds based on the knowledge that he has from us, all the different community comments and all this. This is a community manager that you cannot get with a human being. Sorry to say that, but it is just outpacing immediately already the time the response is and so on. Obviously, you have to keep training it, because he comes also up with nonsense, but not as a general AI, because it's based on, he knows the learning, the different courses, the different conversations and so on. And obviously, this is the last thing to connect, is also the coaching session. So he perfectly knows that we discussed this in a specific coaching session. So he can point you directly into the timestamp of this coaching session. It's insane. And we wouldn't talk so much about AI if we wouldn't implement this way into our own platform, obviously. So
and also because we are shocked every single day about the outcomes. I mean,
Yeah.
the moment that you let AI shine because you have a system in place that allows AI to really understand what your current situation is and also what your goals are, okay, and what you want to achieve. It's the moment that we see, because obviously we receive a lot of mistakes too, but the thing is that just with quick iterations at the end, we are able to develop. And also, what I love the most is that AI is fully integrated into systems theory, okay? It has been developed so that you can perfectly improve in each iteration. And I think that that's something important, okay? Because nothing gets lost, okay? The moment that we were able to store locally the context is the moment that we can guarantee that no matter, because that, I remember those times where we were frustrated about, wow, man, I have been dealing here with a chatbot, okay? I concluded amazing things, and now, man, this gets lost. Then I need to go again to that conversation and look for the information. Now, all the outcomes of any conversation get stored. You can refer to that. These type of connections that I can perfectly forget about where this is stored, where it belongs. Now, AI controls absolutely everything so that all those links that we have been doing for years, I would even say decades, linking things one to each other, now everything gets interconnected on their own based on the reality of the context that you are sharing. And for me, for instance, this is something that works amazingly well, okay? Because in my case, going back to this presentation for my convention, I've been, I don't know for how long, because during the year, I store things that come up to my mind, random things, images, all of that no matter that I was able to do it in the past, okay? But now it has become something that becomes much better and with less effort. I mean,
Yeah.
the effort that you need to put into this, it's something that gives you the freedom of dedicate your time and brain to some of the things.
But this
Right
is
now, I will
where,
prepare,
Paco, this is exactly it. You say the effort to put into this, it feels for us not so much effort because we have the system underneath. We have to keep repeating this because it's not like you start doing a chat. If you have no idea what the outcome is, as I said, if you have no idea about design and so on, it will be not the child becoming a billionaire with an app because there's so much more to this that you need to understand. But I think the generalists, the business owners, the solopreneurs, all these will thrive with this now because they have this holistic understanding of what is going on and what is really the pain point in the business to offload now to AI. Like community management, we wanted to be responsive and always give the people the best answers. What a relief this is now to have AI to fill the gaps there whenever we are not directly there. Also, we obviously every day in our own application and going through the same thing. That's why we keep working on them so hard because we want to be in there too and love using it. And here, Paco, we see the outcome of a one prompt slide deck, which is, in my opinion, crazy because we can even go to here full screen and then we can directly start a presentation out of Claude. And I don't know, man, why this guy came up with ICOR with a K, but well, it is what it is. That's where you have the guardrails then in. So for example, for the AI team that I'm using, I would have a quality assurance that goes through this and double checks if everything is correct. But I mean, out of the box, one prompt, this is insane. And I was using Gamma, and obviously I was a heavy PowerPoint user back in the times in corporate. I was one of these guys who had all the animations in PowerPoint and everything fancy and clickable and so on. So, but now this is, if you just need to prepare something and you have your knowledge base ready, this is insane. Exactly as
for
you
me, the
just
thing
said.
is that instead of dedicating that insane amount of time to polish, technically a
Yeah.
slide and things like that, you can be fully focused with all your energy in the messages, how to communicate that, all that architecture. That I think that those are the profiles who benefit the most. The people who are really architects of knowledge, of decision making. All that thing is that AI removes the friction in the process when you go into the specifically design how to do something. Okay, I remember our designing team preparing, for clients my ideas and things like that to make it feel really professional, and all that is removed, so that brings you that sensation of release, of not being dependent on others, okay? Because the moment that you are dependent on others, it's the moment that, you suffer, okay? Also, how you communicate the things, because, for instance, repeating the exact same thing with subtleties to AI is not the same that repeating to a physical person 20 times the exact same thing, because that degrades, okay, and creates frictions in the relationships. I think that this also improves, how we communicate each other, because the moment that we explain the things, I think that we reduce those back and forth, all those processes that were really slowly to, at the end up with something that is worse, is what it was worse. The moment that we are now comparing the things, okay, that AI is bringing out compared to the previous experiences that we had on our own, this is much better, okay? This is much better because it's able to put into practice a huge and insane amount of information. And I think that the power of being able to grab the most important thing, and if not, as you are an architect and you have the overall view, for you it's pretty easy to point out the things, okay, that are missing, or the things that you want to include, or the things that doesn't fit the patterns that you are identifying that the AI is not interpreting. And the moment that you have a system behind that perfectly manages all that, is the moment that the outcomes are impressive. And for us, the evidence is our current project, myICOR, that, it's leveraging at levels that, in my life, I haven't seen such a huge improvement, talking about a quality and a speed, okay? And a speed and the effort that we put into the equation, okay? Because to achieve these type of things, I think that we would have died for sure in the past, because it's impossible, to deliver at this speed with this level of quality.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we close the session today, I want to answer the two questions that I saw inside the chat, inside the community. I moved it over because I still had no time to make a pop out for the chat so we can properly share it, but you would just see us on the side so you don't get confused. I think, first of all, let's first address this one. Short answer, it makes no sense in my opinion, because a BKM system is something different from the LLM wiki that Kapathy is sharing. He is referring here to the PKM, personal knowledge management, PKA as we call it, personal knowledge assistance. And here he shares his own insights, his inner world content, and from the outer world, the articles that he wants to review and so on. And he uses AI to build content out of it. The BKM inside the folder for the AI team, the business knowledge management, is for the AI team like references. What I said, the design guide, design language, SOP, standard operating procedures. So this what you just shared down here. This is what goes into BKM. And PKM, in the course I show, there's a dedicated PKM folder for myself. And if you wanted to have it this style, it would go in there. And then you can, but what he shared there, I still haven't seen what the actual, special thing is about what he did there. He just made a folder with these index files, and maybe he created then later the database. But that's something anybody can do. I haven't seen a methodology or a system behind what he built here, to be honest, without degrading it. I mean, I'm just, and you can call me out if there's a different and I missed something, but the last time I checked, it was exactly this case, that he hooked it up with Obsidian, and he was amazed how well it worked inside Obsidian. And I made a dedicated video about this, going step by step through his post. So go into the learning resources, you find it there. And for Lucas' question here, do you have an ICOR context file to give the AI? We have something better. And this is actually in your profile. If you go to my profile, actually in your profile, right? There's the myICOR MCP server. So you can just simply use this and bring it into Claude Desktop, or you install it through the Claude Code, and then you will log in with your myICOR details, and then your AI will have access, and I think much more importantly, not only to ICOR content, it has in fact access to all our additional learning resources and will point you per link to the right learning resource that helps you right now, but based on a context that it has from your ICOR framework, the tool stack that you're using, your ICOR journey, the pain points that you have, and all this is considered in this ICOR, my ICOR MCP server. So when you hook it up with any AI that can use MCP, it will have this context available to help you really in the right direction when it comes to all this. And that's what we are training Checks to. So he becomes context aware more and more, so he really can help even more specific. But this is where this was built from the ground up with interconnected content that makes sense to build a productivity system end to end. People join for AI, but they stay for the productivity system that is behind all this, as it goes so way beyond automation or AI. And as we keep saying, AI and automation is just a layer on top. If there wouldn't be AI, there would be employees doing it the same way. That's just what it is. And for us, it's amazing that, well, Paco has a company with over 70 people working there, right? And not freelancers all. They're actually on payment plans. So it's not like that we don't know how to work with people, but we also appreciate it if we can offload work that is redundant to people. So Paco, yeah?
No, the thing is that I still don't understand those, doubts about that AI will destroy employment and all these type of things. Well, maybe some, but I think that for most of the professionals will enhance how they work, because it's like, thinking that in the past there were no computers and people were working. I mean, this accelerates, how you can dedicate time to the things that matter. And I think that humans are really great in many aspects, talking about the brains, the processes, how we work with our brains and all our cognitive thing. And we are missing out of many things due to do things that don't make sense. I think that removing things that don't make sense and being fully focused every single day in the things that matter, it's what makes professional to really evolve, to really deliver things in a way that is not only much better, but much easier for them. And I think that that's the why we are so motivated, and not about the hype. It's about because we are perceiving the reality, not just about the outcomes, but the way we work, For me, I have completely destroy and eliminate and remove a lot of things that were really painful, that I had no choice but going through that path. And I think that the moment that you start releasing yourself of all these things that are over your shoulders because you have no choice, it's amazing. Was just talking this morning with my financial manager, that it's the manager of our department for the 4 companies, and she told me that she has completely changed how she works. I mean, she's not nerdy, she's pretty well organized, but she's not nerdy, and she was using Claude without any problem, and her job has completely changed, changed because now she can perfectly measure KPIs, pay attention. Obviously, she has a lot of knowledge, and she knows when AI is not delivering correctly. This is not a matter of, I delegate and I forget, because partially I have to say that I hate when people say, I leave things doing and I'm here on the beach or here in the couch watching Netflix, this type of thing. No, man. I'm working the exact same number of hours because I think that I will work this number of hours until I die. It's a way of seeing life. But the thing is, what do I dedicate my time to? In what things I'm spending my life? And there were, before AI, there were many things that I say, man, it's stupid to spend time, my life, my real life, doing this type of things. I do it because I have no choice. So it is what it is. And now, feeling that sensation of relief or saying, man, now I can get the insights. The way, for instance, that going back, because I want to double down on the exact same example and how it changes. And that's why I will create an article out of this, because the way I'm preparing this presentation has nothing to do from becoming something that it was really painful, okay? Something I want to get rid of. Now it has become something enjoyable, okay? Because I say, well, man, now I have the full power of my capacity to communicate the things that matter to me, okay, to my team, the way I want, but without dedicating time to things that I'm not good at. Because that's the thing, okay? I'm not a good designer. I'm not a good many things, okay? But I'm really good in some of the things, and those are the things that I want to dedicate time to, because one, it's where I really deliver value to my company and my project, okay, becoming it profitable, but also because it's a joyful experience. And I think that joy should be part of our day-to-day life. That's important. It's important to be motivated, to avoid friction, to have that sense of control, to feel proud of what you have delivered. The moment that we are looking at this myICOR app and the myICOR platform, we're really happy about it. We say, man, we built this, okay, on our own with our mistake, our iteration, but it's something that we have built. It's representing what we had in mind, okay, 4 years ago, and even our whole life, okay? But let's say since Tom and myself starting working together 4 years ago, this is the real representation of what we had on mind. So imagine how amazing is that, related to motivation, to accomplishment, to all the things that any professional wants to feel, okay? Because I think that the sense of accomplishment, okay, for things that you are dedicating a ton of hours every single day, the moment that you see evidence, tangible results, and not just, things that you say, well, it's okay, but it's not exactly. Now, little by little, we are able to represent what we had on mind. Obviously, it's not simple because we are talking about a lot of resources here. When Tom has shown what a lesson is, if you go to additional learning, we have thousands of articles it's complex. It's something complex, but it's also something beautiful that we are bringing simplicity to something that it's real complex. And that allows us to better communicate to our people what this is all about. And it's something kind of fulfilling when we see people coming from the outside that has no clue about ICOR, and they say, man, you have literally changed how I work and how I perform. That was our mission, okay? Yeah, that's why we built here, apart from always, obviously, create a business profitable so that we can live, okay, and keep delivering. But the mission was to be able to communicate something that was really complex, okay? That is just that Tom and myself understood it because, well, we thought the exact same way. We had similar experience and we concluded that this was what it worked for us. But now being able to just in several weeks, okay, that people really interiorize this, okay, and completely change, something that they have been working for years, okay, or even the case of their whole life, just in such a short period of time with this life-changing thing. I think that this is what AI is all about, and that's why we can state that this is not about hype. This is a real revolution, and the ones who jump into this will completely change how they work and how they deliver.
And it is an unfair advantage. If you're looking for one, this is it. Because just thinking about business, right? Considering if we would need to hire the people doing all the work that we do, besides having a development team to create a custom-made application like this, and then you have a new idea, and then you sit together through meetings to get there, instead of quickly prototyping things, and then you have the understanding and can ship much faster. All these things, the speed of iterations, as you can see for Anthropic themselves, right? The speed of iterations of their own tools. The same applies to us. And then considering hiring people and paying them for the job, for all the different types of work that I hand over to Larry and his team. This is why the platform is also so affordable. I mean, I think we are the lowest cost for what we deliver compared to any competition out there, Paco, right? So if we see anything like this, and this is why we are very confident, if people say it's too expensive, then sorry, then you need to look somewhere else, because it's impossible that This makes just no sense to go any lower. But this being said, it's only possible because it's just the two of us and using, in my case, a $200 subscription plan for Claude Code Max. And now people are scared about if the prices increase and so on. They will. Probably they will. It's very likely they will, as otherwise they will keep losing money. However, even if it 10x's, if the return of investment is still there, any tool before that was always worth paying whatever they pay. I'm still paying, what is it, $40 per month for Superhuman. And people say, how are you crazy spending $40 for an email management tool? Yeah, if you have no idea what time you're saving and you don't understand what is going on behind this, I totally understand that people don't use it. And that's for AI just 10x, 100x the case, where I say many times every day, where I say, man, 6 agents running in parallel doing 6 types of different work, complete different work, including myself working along with them, like with a team. This is something, $200. And yeah, we hit the token limits very quickly last week when there was this interruption. But this is not the case anymore. I'm running on high effort on Opus 4.7, doing all these code changes and all this, which is huge token usage. I haven't had any issues. And well, I also saw that they, even if you went over plan, they gifted $180 for free that you were able to use. So they're always compensating. So I'm happy that we are still with Claude. We will see what happens with OpenAI. They're really now pushing hard too, and obviously Google with their new Gemini coming up. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. We will catch this. And this is not a Claude only platform. If this becomes better, we move on to the next thing. Our system underneath is tool agnostic, and this is ICOR, and this is what this is all about. And this makes us so flexible to move on to anything else in the future. Everybody,
before
thanks so much
ending up, I would like, Tom, just a last message. Sorry to interrupt you, but I want to communicate this because this is something really life-changing for me, at least in my case, because we know that, well, entrepreneurs, owners, CEOs, all those people feel the solitude, okay, really hard, okay? And I think that if you are able to set up an AI system that is really well contextualized with your reality, it's the best partner possible because it's just exactly you, but taking care of things that you are not good at. And I think that feeling that sense of not being on your own, doing your things, okay, because it doesn't matter that you have even a business partner, but at the end you are on your own with your things, and maybe your business partner is doing some other things. At the end you are working alone. And I think that the moment that you partner up with an AI that is perfectly set up, the sensation of solitude disappears. And I think that working with a partner is what we have always said. That's why we are two. We wanted to create something amazing, and we both knew that it's literally pretty difficult, okay, to create something awesome if you're on your own, because have just one vision. At least you need 2 different visions to create something awesome. And with an AI that is correctly set up, that knows everything about you the right way, I think that you have partnered up with something that really leverage how you perform. And that sense of solitude, of being your own, maybe when you in the decision making process, I have improved a lot with evidence, okay? My decisions have improved, okay, at all levels in my life, thanks to having that partner that perfectly knows me, okay? Because at the end it's you, okay? That's the thing, it's you with some of the capabilities. I think that that's a point that we shouldn't avoid to comment, because it's also something that it's part of that sensation of fulfillment. And I think that at the end, fulfillment is what we want in life. And this is another feature that AI properly used brings to the table, okay? If not, it brings frustration, pain, waste of time, waste of money, and all the negative emotions that you can think of, okay?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
thanks so much, guys. We reached 4,000 members inside myICOR. What a journey. This is insane. It is just, I think, is it a week ago when we said 3,000 members? I don't even know. I didn't keep track. Well, we see here This month, 980 new members. So you're always welcome to join. Thanks so much for joining, and we will catch you up next week or tomorrow inside the Inner Circle Coaching live, right?
Correct.
Okay. Have a good time.
Thank you so much, guys. See you.